Welcome to the last part of this Football Manager 2018 experiment featuring the Bryan brothers. In this last part 7, we're going to holiday until the Bryan brothers have retired from playing football. Now, there's a few links in the description below. Firstly, there's a Steam Workshop database file which you can download. Secondly, there's a link to the first save file before I started continuing into the future for this experiment. And lastly, there's a link to the last save file when all the players have retired, so you can continue a bit further into the future to see how their management career gets on. So that's a bit of a spoiler looking forwards. Yes, they do all become managers at the end of their footballing career. Anyway, it's now June 2037, so let's have a look at how the players are getting on. Before I do continue though, I'd just like to say thank you for all the support you've given me for this experiment. I'm really pleased that so many of you loved it, and I'm happy to do similar things in the future. And I am starting to contemplate whether I should do an emulating series once again. So let me know if you would like to see one of them, or possibly just something similar to this with different types of brothers or different types of perfect players created on the game to see how they get on playing for different nations, for example. Anyway, as you can see, the players are now 36 years old in June 2037, and Nigel Bryan is now the top player, 179 current ability, ahead of Ralph on 176 and Brian Bryan on 176. Trevor Bryan is still dropping off. He's down to 163. I think he is retiring as well. He is going to retire next season, so he's got one more year to go before he retires from football, and we won't actually see him at the end of that season, unfortunately, because I've continued to the 15th of June every single year, around about mid-June. So he's going to be retired by the time we see him. So this is the last player profile that you will see for him. You can see physically his pace has really dropped off, as you kind of expect attacking players to do later on in their career. For defensive players, it's not so much of a problem. But we'll look at Nigel Bryan first of all, he's still pretty pacey considering he's a centre back. I mean, most centre backs would love to have 13 acceleration and pace, and he's got it at the age of 36. He's just such a ridiculous centre back, isn't he? One of the best, if not the best ever centre-back in world football. Unbelievable. It really is. And he's still playing for PSG. You may have noticed we have seen a transfer. Ralph has moved to Manchester United. So I'm pleased to see him move to England. I really wanted him to move for many years. Where am I clicking? I don't know. I want to look at Liga and to see if they've won the league title. Yes, they have. They have won it so many times. Nigel, since he moved, I think it was about 2022, I don't think he's ever missed out on a league title. I just want to double check. When did he move? Yeah, 2022-23. Moved to the club for 99 million. He's won the league title every year. That is just sensational, isn't it? And by the way, it does mean 3 of the Bryan brothers have played for Manchester United on this save now that Ralph has moved to Man United. Of course, Nigel played for them for 2 seasons, really, in total before moving to PSG. What a wonderful player he is. But Ralph is next, and he's actually the most valuable brother now. I did say that the goalkeeper would probably keep his value for a bit longer because he's a goalkeeper, and he has indeed made a move from Leipzig for £12 million to Manchester United. It's the first time there's ever been a fee involved with him because he moved from Phoenix to Leipzig for free. Multiple Bundesligas, of course, he managed to win with them. Let's see if him and Bryan managed to lead Manchester United to Premier League glory in his first season at the club. No, Man City have become the dominant force, winning the last 3 titles. Man United drop out the top 4 altogether, finishing below Stoke and West Ham to finish 5th, their worst season for a long time. And quite remarkably, Trevor Bryan, despite the fact it was his penultimate year in football, managed to get the highest average rating. What a player. Serious. I mean, he was top goal scorer for so long, wasn't he? For years and years and years, he was the top goal scorer in English football. If we just have a quick look, he's not won it since 2033-34, but to get the highest average rating is unbelievable. He doesn't manage to win Footballer of the Year as a result. He might not have played as many games, I guess. He still played most Premier League games, 17 goals, 5 assists, 7.63 average rating in the league. That is really special. But moving back to Ralph, I'm really pleased to see him move to England, but unfortunately it's not really worked out for him, apart from the fact, you may have noticed here, it doesn't really matter that he didn't win the Premier League because they won the Champions League again, and they beat Man City in the final. Man City may have beaten them to the Premier League title, but they beat Man City, and they get revenge for the 2033-34 season where Man City beat them. And it's the Manchester clubs have dominated, haven't they? We've not seen a Spanish club win the Champions League since Barcelona did 10 years ago. Since then, it's been all about PSG, Manchester United and Man City. Remember, we feel sorry for Trevor because he missed out on Champions League titles with Chelsea on 4 occasions. But Ralph wins a Champions League medal, meaning Trevor is the only brother not to win one. He's got one more year to win a Champions League. And I really hope it happens in the 2037-38 season, in his last year in football, because his brothers have managed to win Champions League medals now, all of them, apart from him. And arguably, Trevor is the best brother of them all. When you look at all the goals he scored, the assists he got, the average ratings he got, all the competitions he's managed to win, but he still hasn't managed to get his hands on a Champions League medal. Really good win for Man United once again. I mean, they failed in the league, but they obviously focused their attention on the Champions League. It does mean they qualify for next year. Bryan was playing. He got an assist, and Ralph Bryan got a 7.9. Really good performance from him in goals. So magnificent stuff from the two Bryan brothers. Let's have a look at Bryan Bryan then, who is still an unbelievably good, technically, mentally and physically good player despite his age. What a hero. He didn't score a single league goal this year for the first time in his career, which is pretty amazing, really. He didn't score a single goal, in fact, in any competitions this season. He got 11 assists, still a decent average rating, but he certainly dipped in regards to his statistics. Trevor Bryan, on the other hand, still is scoring goals. 17 goals in all competitions. In fact, they were all in the Premier League. Chelsea didn't play any European football this year by the looks of it. I think that's because they failed last year. No, I don't know. Maybe he just didn't play in Europe. I can't remember what happened. Anyway, let's have a look. What happened last season? They managed to finish second this year, by the way, which is really good. Yeah, they finished fourth last year. I don't know why Trevor Bryan wasn't playing in European football then this season. They obviously decided to rest him and let him focus on the Premier League, where he had... Oh, wait, no, it is showing now. I don't know what was going on there. It doesn't show on this view the Champions League football, but it does when you go to history. It does show the continental football. So he got 21 goals in all competitions and 6 assists. 9 man of the match awards. Really good average rating once again. I really want him to win Champions League. It's not going to happen, is it? I can't see Chelsea winning it next year. But, well, let's find out. It's so strange to see only 3 of the Bryans up there. Trevor, of course, has retired from football, but I do want to find out if there was a fairy tale ending to his career and he managed to win the Champions League. Oh, it's not. Barcelona won it. Who did they beat in the final? They beat Lyon. So Chelsea weren't even close by the looks of it. Well, we'll find out. Maybe they got to a semi-final. Let's have a look. Nope. In fact, none of the English teams did. Leipzig, Ralph's old team, got to the semi-final. Chelsea got to the quarter-final, as did Stoke. So they did get the furthest out of the Bryan brothers this season. PSG also went out in the quarter-final with Dortmund. So there's no fairy tale ending to Trevor's career. We'll just have a look for him. He is a manager. At the start, on the editor, I did give them all 20 on management, which means they're most likely to become a manager. It doesn't mean they're going to become a good manager, I don't think. Might be wrong. Maybe he will. But yes, he has become a manager. This is his biography for those that want to read it. In fact, we'll have a look at it here so you can read it in a bit more detail. Where can I... Oh, can I not do it? Here we go. Biography. So you can pause the video and read that if you wish. He achieved a lot, didn't he? And you can see in his last year, there was a fairy tale ending. He won the English double with Chelsea. They won the Premier League, and look, he was the highest average rating again at the age in his last ever season in English football. Remember, the Premier League is arguably the most competitive league in the world, the best league, so it's really tough. And for him to get the highest average rating at the age of 37 is just incredible. He obviously wasn't in the top goal scoring list or anything like that, but he obviously performed incredibly well across the season, and they finished 2 points ahead of Man City. The Bryan brothers, Ralph and Brian, finished down in fourth with Man United. They've just dropped off suddenly, haven't they? But that is a really good recovery from Chelsea, considering they hadn't won it since 2030. 8 years later, after Man City's and Man United's dominance, they return to the top of England, and that is just a fitting end to Trevor Bryan's career. I wish he'd won the Champions League, but it just wasn't meant to be, was it? Unfortunately. Look at all those runners-up medals since 2031, and then they win the English double. Let's have a look at the FA Cup then. Stoke won the previous one. Man City, Man United, with Bryan managed to win it a couple times in recent years, but Chelsea won it for the first time since 2031, beating Man City in the final. Trevor Bryan, where is he? Where's Trevor Bryan? Did he not play? There he is. He came off the bench in the 61st minute to pick up his medal, which is excellent. Well done to Trevor Bryan for that. So it's a really great end to his career. He's a Chelsea legend, of course. If we just go to Chelsea, just to have a look. Remember, he's played for Schalke as well. Oh, they've got Antonio Conte's back at Chelsea. At the age of 68, he's back. What did I want to look at? Management history. He's only in the last year. Phil Neville left. Where's he gone to? He's gone to PSG. This is so random but amazing. I love it. I really do. But Conte went back to Chelsea in 2037 and won the Premier League and the FA Cup after all these other managers in between. That is just incredible to see. Obviously, Trevor Bryan, the captain, has retired now, so they've got no captain at the moment. I just want to look at records just to see. Trevor Bryan, 373 league goals for Chelsea. We can't see. In fact, is there a way to find out how many goals he actually scored in his career? I feel like there must be somewhere. I might be wrong. It might say somewhere there. If anyone knows, then if you download the save file, you can obviously let me know. I thought there used to be a way. In fact, I think there is on the shortlist view, but now he's not on the shortlist anymore, so we can't actually see that. I think there was a way of looking at career goals and career matches, but it was always a little bit out. It was never quite 100% accurate. I used to put that in for the emulating series, of course. Now it's coming back to me all of a sudden. Trevor Bryan, has he made the most appearances for the club? Where does it say that? Youngest player, oldest player, fastest goal, most clean sheets, most assists. Where's most appearances for the club? I don't know. Can't see that anywhere. We can have a look at most goals in a season. So you can see Trevor Bryan between 2022-23 and 2034-35 was Chelsea's top goal scorer every single year. That really is incredible, isn't it? So it's sad to see Trevor Bryan retire, but he retired at the very top, winning the Premier League and FA Cup in the process. That really is magnificent. Anyway, Nigel Bryan. In fact, we didn't actually look at his final season because we can still see that somewhere, I think. Let's see. Milestones. Career stats. This is it. So we didn't actually look at this. He did score 20 goals in his last ever season for Chelsea and get 10 assists with a good average rating once again. Of course, he was top average rating in the Premier League. There's no end to his brilliance. And why is this view gone? Well, Nigel Bryan is still the best brother. He's at 176 current ability. He's still a world-class player. Bryan is at 170. Ralph is dropping off now, surprisingly faster than Nigel and Bryan, despite being a goalkeeper. It just shows how good Nigel and Bryan are, really, I guess. How long they've managed to prolong their career for. Once again, stupendous season for PSG, and they won the league again with 104 points. He was third best average rating in the league. He has won the league title every single season he's played for PSG. There's just no stopping him. Bryan, Manchester United legend, and he continues to be amazing. But of course, Manchester United have dropped off since Ralph Bryan joined the team. He scored 4 goals this year, though he did actually manage to find the back of the net. 6 assists, decent average rating. But yeah, he's certainly declining in his performances. Ralph Bryan, on the other hand, 200 caps for USA. There we go. 200 caps. That is special. 21st in the world rankings at the moment. He's still playing for USA and he's got 200 caps. Double century. That is incredible. Oh, by the way, his fee's risen to £15.5 million. So Leipzig have got a decent amount of money for quite an old goalkeeper. But yeah, not so good for him this year. I don't know if Man United win anything. They won the Club World Cup, and obviously they won the Champions League last season, but they've won the Club World Cup this season. That's the only thing they did manage to win. So the three remaining Bryan brothers, they're still playing at the age of 38. We're now in the year 2039. Nigel is now at 168 current ability, Brian's at 162 and Ralph's at 160. They're still quality players. Remember, the Ballon d'Or winners, they were Ballon d'Or winners with sort of high 160s. I haven't looked at that recently, actually. Let's have a look to see what has happened in recent years. So Bryan's the last Bryan brother to win it in 2034, but since then we haven't seen them feature whatsoever. But I mean, what would you expect? They're ancient now. They're not going to feature, are they? And I presume it's the same for Footballer of the Year. Must be, surely. Yeah. And World Player of the Year. Just double check, just to make sure. Oh, Brian. Oh yeah, that was 2034. I want to look at Goalkeeper of the Year though. Oh, let me click on this button. There we go. Goalkeeper of the Year. Ralph's won it. Hallelujah. Ralph won it in 2036. Oh, I'm so pleased for him. He deserved that. And it was when he moved to Manchester United. I said Leipzig were holding him back from winning that award. And he moved to Man United. And they didn't even win the league. Or I suppose they won the Champions League, didn't they, in his first season. So it was a good move for him, wasn't it? I know he went from Leipzig, who were starting to win league titles again. Moved to Manchester United. Didn't do very well in the league with them. But they won the Champions League. So yeah, fantastic stuff for him. At the age of 35, he managed to win Goalkeeper of the Year for the first time, finally. I presume he was in World Team of the Year as well. If we go back, yes, he was. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant from him. So Nigel Bryan, 38 years old, still performing at the top level for PSG. And have they won the... Yes, do I even have to ask that? No, I don't. 92 points, not as dominant this year, but still a long way ahead of second place Nice. Lyon, remember, they featured in the Champions League final recently and they've dropped all the way down to 7th place. Bryan, 38. Well, they're all the same age, don't know why I'm saying that. But yes, Manchester United, have they returned to the top of the table? Let's have a quick look. He got 5 goals and 5 assists in all competitions this year, by the way. And they haven't. Man City have returned to the top of the table, but they did finish second. Chelsea dropped to third without Trevor in the team. Stoke still performing brilliantly, finishing in the top 4 once again. And Ralph, still an exceptional goalkeeper. Still brilliant in the air. 204 caps for his country. Conceded 44 goals in 50 games this season. 17 clean sheets. Very good average rating once again. Brilliant. So we're now in the year 2040 and all 3 players still played the last season. However, Nigel Bryan's retiring in the summer. In fact, in 3 days' time. Ralph Bryan is retiring in a few days' time as well. 8 days' time. And Bryan is retiring in 8 days. So they're all retiring at the same time. Apart from Trevor, of course, who retired a couple of years ago. But that's quite fitting, really. These 3 brothers retiring at the end of the same season. I'm going on holiday one more year just to show that their management profiles, and then you can download the save file to continue yourself if you so wish. And you can let me know on Twitter or YouTube or whatever. Let me know how they get on with their management careers in the future. Anyway, Nigel has ended as the best player. So he's basically finishing on 156 current ability. That is sensational, really. He could still do a really good job at the very top level in the English Premier League, for example. And of course, still doing it for PSG. He could do that for PSG for many years to come, I think. Ralph Bryan finishes on 149, as does Bryan, both at Manchester United. Really is incredible what they've done. Nigel Bryan, let's have a look at him first. Worth £1.3 million at the very end, still earning £250,000 a week. And as you can see, they did win Ligue 1 as well. And he didn't play as many league games this season now that he's ancient, 39 years old. Would have been nice to see them all get to 40, I think. But it wasn't quite to be. But yeah, comfortable once again in the league. And once again, third highest average rating for him. This is his profile at the end of his career then, for those of you that are interested. Ralph Bryan finishes in England with 204 caps for USA, worth £3.5 million, earning 175k a week. Wow. Didn't play as many games, just like his brother Nigel this season. 29 goals conceded, 12 clean sheets. Did Manchester United win anything at the very end? No. Oh, runners-up. Oh, runners-up in the Champions League last year, which we didn't have a look at. And I wonder who. We need to look. We need to look actually. We'll just check Bryan first. This is his profile at the end. £5.25 million. He actually finishes the most valuable player, earning 215 grand a week. Still had another year on his contract, but he has decided to retire. And this was his last season. 3 goals, 10 assists in all competitions, 7.22 average rating in the league. Not bad at all. They didn't win the league though. Chelsea returned to the top. Man United finished down in 4th place, behind Stoke and Manchester City. They didn't win the league in the last 6 seasons. So Ralph never actually won a Premier League title after joining Man United, which is a little bit of a shame for him. But he managed to win the Champions League, so that's the next best thing. Now, they actually lost against Stoke City in the 2038-39 final. That is unbelievable. That's the biggest surprise we've seen out of the Champions League winners. Stoke, I don't know what's happened to them on this save, but they have maxed out. They've been incredible. Man City won the most recent final, by the way, beating Real Madrid in the final. But Man United overall were they the most successful? They've won it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. PSG won it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times on this save as well. Bayern Munich had a lot of success right at the start of this save, as you can see there. But yeah, Man United really, really successful in this competition. Just to check the Ballon d'Or, just to see if any of the Bryan brothers managed to win it. No, they didn't, of course not. Oh, that was Footballer of the Year, but it's the same for all of them, I think. Well, Player of the Year. Goalkeeper of the Year. Oh, Ralph finished 2nd in his last year in football, so that's not bad going. Of course, he managed to win it back in 2036, and then 2nd place in 2039 at the age of 38. That's really quite impressive, isn't it? This is reputation for the clubs, by the way. Man City end up on top with PSG in 2nd, Stoke in 4th, ahead of Man United and Chelsea. Wow, that's pretty incredible, isn't it? And just have a look at USA. Ralph did finally retire from international duty. This is the current status of the American team. They're 11th in the world rankings. They've done really well to have some sort of resurgence in recent years. But they'll always go down in history as winning the World Cup in 2026. It's a long time ago now, but they did really, really well. Did they win anything else? Gold Cup 2027 and 29 they managed to win. It's quite a long time ago as well. Olympic Games in 2020 and 2028. So they certainly managed to become more successful in world football, haven't they, since the Bryan brothers turned up and inspired a generation. Spain won the most recent World Cup 2 years ago, beating Holland in the final. It took place in Canada, as you can see there. But yeah, that's it for the playing careers of the Bryan brothers. I'm going to holiday one more year just to have a look at the manager profiles of all the 4 brothers. They've all gone. They've vanished from my shortlist. Bryan, let's start with him then. 40 years old and he's a manager. He doesn't have a team. Left Manchester United last year, of course. Looks good in terms of mentals and adaptability, determination, level of discipline is decent. But in terms of man management, motivating, those attributes you want to have when you're a manager, they're not particularly impressive. Perhaps he could end up being a coach in the end. Maybe in USA to start with. But let me know, if you do holiday into the future, let me know. Maybe they will just retire because they can't find a club, for example. But it'd be great to see if they could turn into really good managers one day. Let's have a look then at Nigel next. Nigel, once again, very bad management attributes, but there's certain other things that are decent. He's got a national... What did Bryan have? He had a National B licence. So Nigel also has a National B licence, but only 1.5 star reputation. Let's go and have a look at Ralph. 2 star reputation, National B licence as well. Once again, attributes not very good with the management attributes, but 20 on fitness. What would you expect from these guys? Natural fitness of 20. They should be fitness freaks. And some very good attributes here with the mentals. But man management motivating really low, and knowledge really low. They'll improve, but maybe they're just not cut out to be a manager with those attributes that they have. And lastly, Trevor Bryan, who retired a few years ago, has never managed to find a club. He's got 1.5 star reputation. He's only got a National C licence, despite the fact he retired 3. Is that better than a B licence? I can't remember which way round it is off the top of my head. Either way, you'd have hoped he would have got better than that, like the UEFA licence and that sort of thing, but he hasn't, and he's not done anything since retiring. So it possibly could be that they just retire in a few years' time because they just can't find a club, especially if they want to be managers and they just refuse to be coaches as well, because they could be coaches, I'm sure they could, but managers, I don't think they're cut out for it. It must be their personality that lets them down, the personality attributes I gave them. So that's the end, guys. Thank you for supporting me all the way through. Just one last thing, in the comment section below, who was the best Bryan brother, and perhaps who was the most successful? 2 different questions there. Most successful is probably the player that won the most competitions, most individual awards, and Bryan won the most Ballon d'Ors, didn't he? But he also won the most Champions Leagues and league titles in England. Nigel, of course, won the most league titles overall because of his time at PSG. But for me, the best player was Trevor. He was sensational. He got the highest average ratings in the Premier League for so many years, the top goal scorer award so many years in a row, lots of assists as well. He was just unbelievable. And although he didn't quite win as many personal accolades as Bryan, and he didn't manage to get that elusive Champions League title like his 3 brothers got, and I feel sorry for him for that, I think he was the best player. But yeah, if you look at most successful, you probably have to give it to Bryan. But anyway, thank you for watching. I've already said that, but yeah, I really do appreciate it. If you have any other thoughts for experiments in the future, as always, you can contact me on YouTube, tweet me, send me a message on Facebook. All the links are in the description below. Please hit the like button on this as well for this marathon of an experiment. But until next time, enjoy FM18, enjoy the rest of your day. I hope to see you soon.